The first pick I would choose as a beginner is one of these. They solve a very specific problem for beginners: strumming. I never really like to strum with my fingers, and if you have too thick a pick, we can get a little bit stuck under the strings and make it really hard to strum. And as these are well really paper thin, these ones are only 1.5 millimeter thick, so and very flexible. So there is no risk that you get stuck under the string, which is really good. And as you can see, this is pretty well used. So you can't really see, maybe this way. You can't really see what kind of pick it is. But I will have a link in the description for all picks I talk about today. Another great pick for beginners are these ones. These are 0.96 millimeter thick, so they're a little bit thicker. So you can see, and not as flexible. But this also makes it a little bit easier when you are playing single notes. And it's also, you can see here, a little bit rounded here on the top. So I think it's pretty easy to pick with a pick like this. So it's a bit thicker than the first one I showed you, and it's not as thick as the ones I will show you next. So I think it's a perfect middle ground, or like an all-rounder. So you can both strum and pick single notes with this one. Another thing I like with this one is that it has some kind of surface. So it's not sticky, but it's not so slippery as some picks can be. So I really like this. It stays firmly in my hand. The third pick I recommend for beginners is this one. And this is actually the one I use most nowadays when I play guitar and not strumming. This is the Jazz 3 pick. And as you can see, if you compare this to a normal size pick, like this, you can see that it's a lot smaller. So in the beginning, it can be a little bit tricky to get used to, but after that, it feels very natural. For me, it's the opposite now. If I have a big pick or like an ordinary size pick, it feels a little bit strange in my hand. And these ones are the max grip ones. So maybe you can see it on the surface. Maybe not. That it's like a gripping surface on it. So there are no risk that when you strum, it will slip your grip. And it's pointy, but not as pointy as the next one. So I really like this a lot. And if you have small hands, I have like maybe medium size hands. I think it's a great fit. I actually got the tip from Bernd Bodrager and his YouTube channel. So check him out if you haven't. He's an amazing guitarist. And as I said before, I will put a list in the description below with links to all the picks I'm talking about in this video. My fourth recommendation is this one. It looks very good. I think it looks the coolest of them all. It's an Ball Prodigy. And this one is 1.5 millimeter thick. And the difference between this one and the Jazz 3 that this has bevel edges on it. So it's a little bit curvish here and very pointy. And this is normal sized. So if you like, well, you can say the zero type metal music, or like John Petrucci, he likes these kind of picks. So for some picking technique, this pointy edge here is perfect. So if you haven't tried one, I would really recommend you to try it. I like this a lot before I tested the Jazz 3. So test for yourself and see what's best for you. My fifth recommendation for beginner is the mixed bag. As with everything else, it's really hard to know what you want or need or are useful for if you haven't tried a lot of different stuff. And the great thing with picks is that they are so cheap. So I will put a link below to one example of this variety pick but basically just have some kind of mix pack to have the possibility to try different picks, basically. So the feeling of the pick, how it feels in your hand, if it's in the way or not, if it matches your technique, is of course very, very important for a pick. But does it really affect your tone? Well, watch this video and find out.